A 7-year-old girl stands on the ledge of a penthouse balcony, silent tears streaming down her face. Her billionaire mother screams from inside, unable to reach her. Security freezes. Therapists panic. Then a janitor in a stained uniform steps forward and whispers 5 words that change everything. This is the story of how the man everyone ignored became the hero no one saw coming. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. And comment below with your city name so I can see how far this story travels across the world. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end. Your daughter tried to jump today. Eleanor Pierce's coffee cup shattered against marble. Brown liquid spread like blood across white tile. The head of security stood frozen in her office doorway, his face the color of ash. "Get out of my way!" Eleanor ran. Her $1,000 Louboutins cracked against the floor, past the glass conference rooms where her empire was built, past the portraits of her father, her husband, her former self. The elevator took forever. She slammed her fist against the button until her knuckles bled. 23rd floor, residential wing. The door to Isabel's room stood open. Her daughter sat in the corner, knees to chest, rocking. Those eyes that used to sparkle now stared at nothing. "Baby." Eleanor collapsed beside her. "Baby, look at me." Nothing. "Please, please say something. Anything." Isabel's lips stayed sealed. 8 months. 243 days since the Coast Guard knocked on their door. Since Eleanor had to tell her 7-year-old that Daddy's helicopter went down over the Atlantic, that his body was never found, that sometimes money can't buy back what the ocean takes. Eleanor's phone buzzed. Board meeting in 15 minutes. FDA approval hung in the balance. $12 billion company waiting for her decision. She threw the phone across the room. "Mrs. Pierce?" Her assistant appeared, tablet glowing. "The board is waiting." "Tell them to wait forever." "But the approval, I don't care." Eleanor's voice cracked like ice. "My daughter just tried to kill herself and you're talking about approvals." Isabel hummed. Low. Guttural. The sound she made when the world became too much. Eleanor pulled her close. "I've got you. Mommy's here. I've got you." But she didn't. That was the terror. 9 therapists, 8 nannies. Every specialist from Boston to Los Angeles. Eleanor Pierce could buy countries, but she couldn't buy her daughter's voice back. "Call Dr. Morrison," she whispered. "And get me that specialist from Johns Hopkins, the one who said no. Offer her triple." She already refused triple. "Then offer her the company. I don't care. Just get her here." 23 floors below, Jordan Blackwell pushed his cleaning cart through empty corridors. 3 a.m. The hour when buildings breathed. When you could hear your own thoughts echo. He hated his thoughts. The cartwheel squeaked. Left, right, left, right. Same rhythm as the heart monitor in the ICU. The sound that played on loop in his nightmares. The sound that stopped when they pulled the plug on his son, Ethan. 6 years old. Dinosaur book clutched in small hands. "Daddy, did you know T-Rex couldn't actually roar? Scientists think they made sounds like crocodiles." "That so, buddy?" "Yeah, isn't that cool? Daddy, are you listening?" "Of course I'm listening." But he wasn't. He was reaching for the radio dial. Just 1 second. 1 second to find that song Laura liked. 1 second, and the drunk driver ran the red light at Maple and 5th. 1 second, and metal screamed and glass exploded, and his son stopped talking about dinosaurs forever. Jordan stopped at the marble column near the elevators, pressed his forehead against cool stone. 2 years, 730 days since the accident. Since Laura packed her bags and told him she couldn't look at his face anymore. Since he walked out of Jefferson Elementary mid-lesson, left 23 first graders waiting for a teacher who would never come back. "Excuse me?" Jordan's head snapped up. A little girl stood 10 feet away, backlit by city lights. Dark hair wild, bare feet on cold marble, maybe 7 years old. "Hey, sweetheart, you're not supposed to be down here." She didn't move, just stared with eyes that had seen too much. Jordan knew those eyes, saw them in his mirror every morning. "Are you lost?" Nothing. But her chest hitched once, twice. Then she was crying, silent tears that fell like rain. Her whole body shook. Jordan should have called security, should have found her parents, should have stayed invisible like he'd learned to do. Instead, he knelt. His hand went to his pocket, found the small teddy bear he'd been carrying for months, stitched from Ethan's old t-shirt, the blue one with the rocket ships. He'd been carrying it everywhere, couldn't say why, couldn't throw it away, couldn't look at it. He placed it on the floor between them. His name was Bear. My son named him when he was 4. Said complicated names were for complicated feelings. Bear just wanted simple things, like hugs, like being remembered. The girl's eyes moved to the bear. "You don't have to talk. Some things are too big for words." Jordan's throat closed. Way too big. Her hand crept forward, touched the bear's worn ear, then grabbed it, pulled it to her chest. She stopped shaking. Jordan stayed kneeling. His legs went numb. The city outside turned from black to gray. Finally, footsteps echoed down the corridor. "Isabel! God! Isabel, where are you?" The girl looked at Jordan one last time, then ran toward the voice-clutching bear. Jordan didn't see who caught her. He just pushed his cart toward the service elevator, wondering why his chest hurt worse now than it had in months. Eleanor held Isabel so tight she worried about breaking ribs. "Don't ever do that again. Ever. Do you hear me?" Isabel buried her face in Eleanor's shoulder. The strange teddy bear pressed between them. "Where did you get this?" Eleanor tried to pull it away. Isabel's grip turned to steel. "Baby where?" "Mrs. Pierce." Martin, head of security, approached with a tablet. "You need to see this." Eleanor's office. Security footage on the big screen. Timestamp 3:17 a.m. A man in maintenance uniform kneeling before Isabel, placing something on the floor. And Isabel, her silent, broken daughter, stopping her tears for the first time in 8 months. "Who is he?" Martin pulled up a file. "Jordan Blackwell, night shift maintenance. 2 years employed. Background check shows previous employment as elementary teacher. Left position 3 years ago after..." He paused. "After what? Family tragedy. Son killed in car accident. Wife filed for divorce. He applied here through a temp agency. Quiet. Never missed a shift. Never caused problems." Eleanor stared at the frozen image. The man's profile showed something she recognized. Real grief. Not the polite sympathy people offered at Michael's funeral before discussing stock options. This man knew what Isabel knew. What Eleanor woke up knowing every morning. Some losses don't heal. You just learn to walk with the limp. "Bring him to me." "Mrs. Pierce, I don't think..." Now. Jordan was collecting trash on 14 when security found him. 2 guards, arms crossed, faces blank. "Mr. Blackwell, come with us." His stomach dropped. What did I do? Just come. The elevator ride lasted forever. Jordan's mind raced. The girl. He'd touched her, given her something, stayed alone with her. In today's world, that looked like every wrong thing. He should have called someone immediately, should have followed protocol, should have stayed invisible. The elevator opened to a penthouse office that cost more than Jordan's life. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, furniture like sculpture, and behind a glass desk, a woman who looked like she could buy souls. "Mr. Blackwell, sit." Jordan sat. Eleanor studied him. 40 maybe. Dark circles under his eyes. Hands worn but gentle. The kind of man who moved through the world apologizing for existing. "You met my daughter this morning." "I'm sorry. I should have called someone. I wasn't..." She stopped crying. Jordan blinked. Ma'am? Isabel, my daughter. 7 years old. Hasn't spoken in 8 months. Hasn't smiled. Hasn't stopped crying for more than minutes at a time. 9 therapists, 8 nannies, every specialist in New York. Eleanor's voice cracked. And you, a janitor I've never met, made her stop crying. I didn't mean to. Tell me about your son. The words hit like a bullet. How do you? I run a $12 billion company. I know everything about everyone in this building. Ethan, 6 years old. Car accident. Your wife left. You quit teaching. Eleanor leaned forward. You gave up everything. Jordan's jaw clenched. My personal life isn't. My husband died 8 months ago. Helicopter crash. Isabel watched the news before I could stop her. Watched them pull wreckage from the ocean. She hasn't spoken since. Eleanor's hands shook as she reached for water. So don't lecture me about personal lives. Personal lives are all we have when everything else burns. Silence filled the space. 2 strangers in the worst club in the world. The one nobody joins by choice. The bear, Eleanor said quietly. Why did you give her the bear? Jordan looked at his hands, saw Ethan's blood still staining them, even though it had been washed away years ago. I don't know. I've been carrying it for months. Couldn't throw it away. Couldn't keep it either. It was my son's, and when I saw her standing there looking like... He stopped. Looking like the world had ended. I thought maybe she needed something to hold, something that understood. Understood what? That some things don't go away, they just change shape. Eleanor felt something crack in her chest. This man, this janitor who cleaned her floors while she slept, had just articulated what no $500 per hour therapist could say. Pain doesn't disappear, it transforms. It becomes your architecture. I want to hire you. Jordan looked up. I already work here. Not as a janitor. As... She searched for words that wouldn't sound insane. As Isabel's friend. Mrs. Pierce. Eleanor. And before you say no, understand something. I have unlimited resources. I can buy the best care money provides. But money doesn't heal what's broken in my daughter. Credentials don't fix it. What fixed it for 10 minutes this morning was you. A man who understands. She met his eyes. A man who lost what she lost. I'm not qualified. Neither am I. I'm her mother and I can't reach her. But you did. In 5 minutes you did what 8 months of therapy couldn't. Eleanor's voice dropped. I'm not asking you to replace her father. I'm asking you to show her that broken people can still stand. Jordan felt something stir in his chest. Something dead waking up. Hope. Terrifying hope. What would I do? Be there. Talk to her. Don't talk to her. I don't care. Just... Eleanor's voice broke completely. Just help me save my daughter before she disappears. Jordan thought about the little girl clutching Ethan's bear. Her eyes that knew too much. How for the first time in 2 years, kneeling on cold marble, he'd felt almost human. I'll try, but I can't promise anything. Neither can I. But we can fail together. That's better than succeeding alone. The next morning, Jordan arrived at 7. Not in his maintenance uniform, but in the only decent clothes he still owned. Button-down shirt and khakis that hung loose from the weight he'd lost. Eleanor met him looking exhausted in ways that had nothing to do with sleep. She's in her room. Dr. Morrison's with her, but... Eleanor gestured helplessly. It's not working. Through the open door, Jordan heard a calm, professional voice. Isabel, can you tell me how you're feeling today? You can draw it if you prefer. Or we can sit quietly, whatever feels right. Silence. Jordan knocked. Mind if I come in? Dr. Morrison, 50s, kind eyes, expensive suit, looked up irritated. This is a private session. It's fine, Eleanor said from the hallway. Let him in. Jordan entered. Isabel sat in the corner, knees drawn up, bare, pressed to her chest. When she saw him, something flickered in her eyes. Not recognition, not trust, but something. He sat on the floor across from her, ignoring the therapist's obvious disapproval. "Hey, you kept Bear. Good. He gets lonely." Isabel's fingers tightened on the bear. "Mr. Blackwell," Dr. Morrison said carefully. "Isabel and I are working through exercises. Perhaps you could—" "Do you like stories?" Jordan asked Isabel, as if the therapist didn't exist. Bear used to love stories, especially the ones without happy endings. Isabel's eyes moved to his face. "Most stories lie," Jordan continued. "They tell you everything gets better, that heroes win, that bad things don't happen to good people, but the best stories, the real ones, they tell the truth, that sometimes heroes lose, that people you love go away and don't come back, that the world is unfair and cruel and there's no magic words to fix it." "Mr. Blackwell," Dr. Morrison stood. "But you know what else real stories tell you?" Jordan didn't look away from Isabel. "That you survive. That breaking doesn't mean ending. That even in the middle of the worst thing that ever happened, there are still moments worth holding on to." Isabel's lips moved. No sound. But they moved. "Should I tell you one of those stories? A real one?" Isabel nodded. Once. Barely. But definitely. Dr. Morrison left, shaking her head. Eleanor watched from the doorway, hardly breathing. Jordan settled against the wall. Once there was a bottle cap, just a regular plastic bottle cap, blue with ridges for grip. It lived on a water bottle in a teacher's classroom. Every day, kids would grab that bottle, drink from it, twist the cap back on. The cap thought it was important, thought it had purpose. Isabel shifted, listening. Then one day, a kid knocked the bottle off the desk. It hit the floor, rolled under a bookshelf. Water spilled everywhere, and the cap, that little blue cap, rolled into a corner. There it stayed. Days passed. Weeks. The cap watched shoes walk by, heard lessons being taught, saw kids laugh and play. But nobody saw it. Nobody looked for it. Jordan's voice grew softer. The cap thought, "I must not have mattered. If I mattered, someone would search for me." It got sad, then angry, then just empty. Stopped hoping anyone would find it. Decided it was garbage meant to be thrown away and forgotten. Isabel's rocking stopped completely. Then one day, a new kid enrolled. Quiet kid, sad kid, kid who didn't talk much. During free time while other kids played, this kid got down on hands and knees and looked under things, under desks, under shelves, searching. And suddenly there in the darkness, the kid saw it. That little blue bottle cap. Jordan paused. The kid picked it up, held it to the light, and you know what that kid said? Isabel's lips moved. This time sound came out, barely a whisper. "What?" Eleanor's hand flew to her mouth. Jordan felt tears sting but kept his voice steady. The kid said, "I've been looking for you." Turned out the kid collected bottle caps. Had a whole jar at home. Each one different. Each one mattering. The kid took that blue cap, put it in a pocket, carried it home, added it to the collection, and the cap realized something. Its worth wasn't about being on a bottle, wasn't about being useful the way it thought useful meant. Its worth was just in existing, in being found, in being seen. Isabel stared at him, tears streaming. "What's the secret?" "The secret." "You said real stories tell secrets. What's the secret?" Jordan took a breath. "The secret is that being broken doesn't mean being worthless. The secret is that the people who look like they don't matter, who get overlooked and forgotten, they're the ones who understand the truth. That everybody's looking for somebody to see them, to say, 'I've been looking for you,' to prove they're not garbage." Isabel set Bear down carefully. Then she stood, walked across the room on unsteady legs, put her small hand in Jordan's large one. "I've been looking for you," she whispered. Jordan pulled her close. This child who wasn't his, but felt like his, and wept. "I've been looking for you too." In the doorway, Eleanor slid down the wall. Cried for the first time since Michael died. Not polite funeral tears. Not strategic memorial service moisture. Real tears. Ugly, broken, grateful tears. Her daughter had spoken. That afternoon, Eleanor called an emergency board meeting. 15 men and women in suits worth more than cars. Faces she'd known for years. Faces that suddenly looked like strangers. "I'm taking a leave of absence." Silence. Then chaos. Eleanor, the FDA approval. The merger with Patterson. The stockholders will panic. Eleanor stood. "My daughter tried to jump off a balcony yesterday. She's 7 years old, and she tried to kill herself. So, no, I don't care about the FDA. I don't care about mergers. I don't care about stockholders. I care about keeping my child alive." Robert Chen, CFO, leaned forward. "We understand this is difficult, but perhaps a few weeks." "I'm taking 6 months, minimum." "That's impossible." "Then consider it a miracle." Eleanor gathered her files. "David, your interim CEO, don't bankrupt us. Meeting adjourned." She walked out before anyone could respond. In the hallway, her assistant rushed up. "Mrs. Pierce, Channel 7 is calling. They want a statement about the leave of absence. Someone leaked it." "Tell them no comment." "And your father called. Tell him I'll call back." "And there's an issue with Mr. Blackwell's employment contract. HR is questioning why a janitor is being paid consultant rates to spend time with—" Eleanor stopped walking. "What did you just say?" Her assistant paled. "HR is questioning the contract terms." "Who in HR?" "Susan Delacroix. She filed a formal complaint. She's concerned about liability. A maintenance worker spending unsupervised time with a minor child. She's worried about— Fire her. Mrs. Pierce, fire her today, and tell HR that if I hear one more word about Jordan Blackwell's contract, I'll fire the entire department and outsource to Mumbai. Are we clear?" "Yes, ma'am." But Eleanor knew this was just the beginning. Word would spread. Questions would be asked. A billionaire hiring a janitor to heal her daughter. The media would love it. The board would hate it. Her father would have an aneurysm. She didn't care. For the first time in 8 months, her daughter had spoken. Had cried real tears instead of silent ones. Had reached for someone instead of pulling away. That was worth more than $12 billion. That evening, Jordan sat with Isabel in her room. Eleanor watched from the door, afraid to interrupt whatever magic was happening. "Can I ask you something?" Isabel's voice was small but present. "Anything." "Does it ever stop hurting?" Jordan looked at this little girl who'd lost her father. Thought about Ethan. About Laura. About the last 2 years of waking up every morning wishing he hadn't. "No," he said. "It doesn't stop, but it changes. Like how winter changes to spring. The cold doesn't disappear. It just becomes something else. Something you can live with." "I miss my daddy." "I know." "Mommy pretends she's okay, but I hear her crying at night." Jordan glanced at Eleanor, saw her face crumble. "Your mom is one of the strongest people I've ever met, but strong people break too. They just do it quietly." Isabel nodded. "Are you strong?" "No, I'm just still here. That's different." "Is still being here enough?" Jordan felt the weight of that question. The same question he'd asked himself every morning for 2 years. The same question that made him consider driving his car off the bridge. The same question that kept him pushing a cleaning cart through empty hallways at 3 a.m. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But I'm starting to think maybe it is. Because if I hadn't been here, I wouldn't have met you. And you wouldn't have met me. And we'd both still be alone. So maybe being here, just existing, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything." Isabel leaned against him. "Will you come back tomorrow?" "Every day. If you want me to." "I want you to." In the doorway, Eleanor wiped her eyes. For the first time since Michael's helicopter went down, she felt something other than despair. Not hope exactly. Hope was too strong. But something close. Something like the first light before dawn. The belief that maybe, just maybe, they would survive this. That night after Isabel fell asleep, Jordan and Eleanor sat in her office. The city glittered below them like scattered diamonds. "Thank you," Eleanor said. "For what?" "For seeing her. Really seeing her. Not as the billionaire's broken daughter. Just as a kid who lost her dad." Jordan stared at his hands. "I see my son in her. That's not fair to her. She's not a replacement. But when I look at her, I see what Ethan would have been if he'd had more time, if I'd been paying attention, if I'd just—" "Don't." Eleanor's voice was sharp. "Don't do that to yourself." "Do what?" "Rewrite history with yourself as the villain. I've spent 8 months doing it. Wondering if I'd made Michael take commercial flights instead of his helicopter. If I'd made him stay home that day. If I'd just been a better wife, maybe he would have—" She stopped. "It's a game you can't win. Trust me." Jordan met her eyes. Saw the same haunted look he saw in mirrors. "How do you keep going?" "Isabel. That's it. That's the only reason. Some days I wake up and think about all the ways I could end it. But then I remember she already lost one parent. I can't let her lose two." "That's not living. That's just not dying." "Maybe. But sometimes not dying is all you can manage." Eleanor poured them both water. "What about you? What keeps you going?" Jordan thought about it. Really thought. "Honestly, until today, nothing. I've been pushing that cart for 2 years, just killing time until I find the courage to kill myself. But today—" He gestured helplessly. "Today, your daughter said, 'I've been looking for you.' And I realized someone was looking. Someone needed me. And maybe that's enough reason to stay." Eleanor felt tears slip down her face. "We're a mess, aren't we?" "The worst. But maybe broken people fix each other. Maybe that's how this works." "Maybe." They sat in silence as the city breathed below them. Two people who'd lost everything finding something small and fragile in each other. Not romance. Not even friendship yet. Just recognition. The kind that says, "I see your pain because I'm carrying the same weight." Outside, somewhere in Manhattan, life continued. People laughed in restaurants. Couples kissed under streetlights. Kids begged for 5 more minutes before bedtime. The normal, beautiful, mundane life that felt like a foreign country to people like Jordan and Eleanor. But up in that tower, in that office, overlooking a city of 8 million souls, 3 broken people had found each other. And for the first time in months, the darkness didn't feel quite so suffocating. Because sometimes salvation comes from the margins. From the invisible people pushing carts and mopping floors. From the quiet ones carrying grief like stones in their pockets. From the overlooked and forgotten, who understand that being seen, truly seen, is the first step back to being human. Jordan Blackwell had spent 2 years trying to disappear. Eleanor Pierce had spent 8 months trying to hold everything together. Isabel Pierce had spent 8 months locked in silence. But today, for just a few hours, they'd all remembered what it felt like to be found. And tomorrow, they'd try again. The news broke 3 days later. Eleanor was in the kitchen making Isabel breakfast when her phone exploded. Texts, calls, emails flooding in like a dam had burst. She ignored them all until her father's name flashed across the screen. "Eleanor, what the hell have you done?" She put the phone on speaker, cracked eggs into a pan. "Good morning to you too, Dad." "Don't good morning me. Have you seen the news? Have you seen what they're saying?" "I don't watch the news." "Well, you should. Because right now your face is plastered across every channel in New York. Billionaire CEO hires janitor to fix broken daughter. That's the headline. That's what people are seeing." Eleanor flipped the eggs. "I don't care what people see." "You don't." Her father's voice rose. "Eleanor, you're a public figure. The company is publicly traded. What you do reflects on—" "Goodbye, Dad." She hung up, put the phone in a drawer, carried Isabel's breakfast to the table where her daughter sat coloring with Jordan. They looked up when she entered. "Everything okay?" Jordan asked. "Fine. Eat your breakfast, sweetheart. But it wasn't fine. By noon, 3 news vans were parked outside the building. By 2 o'clock, her assistant had fielded 47 interview requests. By 3, Eleanor's lawyer called with concerns about liability, about exposure, about the optics of a single man spending unsupervised time with a minor child. "Fire anyone who questions him," Eleanor said. "Eleanor, you can't just watch me." She hung up, looked at Jordan, who was teaching Isabel how to fold origami cranes. His hands moved slowly, patiently, showing her each crease. Isabel's tongue stuck out in concentration. "They're coming for you," Eleanor said quietly. Jordan looked up. "Who?" "Everyone. The media, the board. Probably child services by tomorrow. They're going to dig into your past. They're going to twist everything, make it look wrong." "Maybe it is wrong." Jordan set down the paper crane. "Maybe I shouldn't be here." "No." Eleanor's voice was steel. "You're the only thing that's right. The only thing that's worked." "Mommy." Isabel looked between them. "Is Jordan leaving?" "No, baby. Nobody's leaving." But that night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She stood at her window watching news vans circle like vultures, watched photographers with long lenses pointed at her building, watched her life become a spectacle. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Mrs. Pierce, this is Detective Sarah Martinez, NYPD Child Protective Services. We need to talk about Jordan Blackwell." Eleanor's blood went cold. "What about him?" "We've received multiple complaints, anonymous calls expressing concern about an adult male spending time alone with your daughter. Given his history of being a bereaved father, of losing everything and still showing up every day. That history. Mrs. Pierce, I understand you're protective, but we have protocols. We need to interview Mr. Blackwell. We need to interview your daughter. And we need you to cooperate. Are you accusing him of something? We're investigating concerns. That's our job." Eleanor hung up, threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. She stood there, shaking, fury and fear mixing into something toxic. A knock at her door. Jordan stood in the hallway, still dressed, looking like he hadn't slept either. "I heard," he said. "How?" "Security called me. Warned me the police might show up tomorrow." He ran a hand through his hair. "Eleanor, maybe I should go, before this gets worse." "No. You don't understand what this will do to you, to your company, to Isabel. When they dig into my past, when they find out about the accident, about Laura leaving, about me walking out on those kids at Jefferson Elementary, I don't care. You should care, because they're going to paint me as unstable, dangerous, a grief-stricken man who couldn't handle his own son's death, now spending time with someone else's daughter. They're going to make it look sick." Eleanor stepped closer. "Is it sick?" "What?" "Being here, helping Isabel. Does it feel sick to you?" Jordan's jaw clenched. "No. It feels like the first time in 2 years I've had a reason to wake up." "Then stay. Let them come. Let them investigate. We have nothing to hide." "Eleanor, you don't know what they'll do." "I know exactly what they'll do. I've been destroying people in boardrooms for 20 years. I know how character assassination works, and I know how to fight back." She met his eyes. "Do you trust me? I barely know you. Do you trust me?" Jordan thought about Isabel's laugh earlier that day. Her first real laugh in 8 months. Thought about how she'd hugged him goodnight and whispered, "See you tomorrow." Thought about how Eleanor had stood between him and every person who'd tried to remove him. "Yes, I trust you." Good. Because tomorrow is going to be hell. Tomorrow was worse than hell. The police arrived at 8 a.m. 2 detectives, 1 social worker, all business. They set up in Eleanor's conference room and called Jordan in first. "Mr. Blackwell, can you describe the nature of your relationship with Isabel Pierce?" Jordan sat across from them, hands folded. I'm her friend. Her friend. Detective Martinez wrote something down. And how did this friendship begin? I found her crying one night. Gave her a teddy bear. She stopped crying. You gave a 7-year-old girl a teddy bear, in the middle of the night, without informing her mother or security. I was doing my job, cleaning. She appeared. She was upset. I helped. By giving her a stuffed animal from your pocket, an animal that belonged to your deceased son. Jordan's hands tightened. Yes. Mr. Blackwell, I'm going to be direct. Your son died 3 years ago. Your wife left you. You quit your teaching job without notice. You've been working night shifts alone for 2 years. Then suddenly you're spending significant time with a vulnerable child. Can you see how this raises concerns? I can see how you're trying to make something innocent look sinister. I'm trying to protect a child. So am I. Detective Martinez leaned forward. Are you trying to replace your son? The room went silent. Jordan felt something crack in his chest. Every day I try to replace my son. Every single day I wake up wishing I could go back and trade places with him. Wishing that drunk driver had hit my side of the car instead. Wishing I'd paid attention for just one more second. His voice shook. So, yes, maybe part of me sees Ethan when I look at Isabel. But that doesn't mean I'm using her. It means I understand her. I understand what it's like to lose someone and have the whole world keep spinning like nothing happened. Mr. Blackwell, I'm not finished. Isabel's father died, and 9 therapists couldn't reach her. 9 trained professionals with degrees and credentials, and they all failed. Because they didn't know. They studied grief. I lived it. I'm still living it. And maybe that's what she needed. Someone who wouldn't tell her it gets better, or time heals all wounds, or any of that garbage. Someone who would just sit with her in the pain and say, yeah, this is awful. This will always be awful, but we can be awful together. The social worker, a woman named Patricia Chen, spoke up. Mr. Blackwell, nobody is questioning your empathy. But there are boundaries, professional boundaries that exist to protect children. From what? From someone who cares. From adults who blur the lines between helping and needing. Jordan stood up. Are we done here? Sit down, Mr. Blackwell. Am I under arrest? No, but then we're done. He walked out. Found Eleanor in the hallway pacing like a caged animal. How bad? She asked. Bad. They think I'm using Isabel to cope with losing Ethan. Are you? The question hit like a slap. Jordan stared at her. You're asking me that now. I need to know, before they take this further, before this becomes a legal battle. Are you here for Isabel or for yourself? Jordan felt rage build in his throat. Both. I'm here for both. Is that what you want to hear? That helping her helps me? That seeing her smile makes me feel less empty? That for the first time in 2 years I don't spend every night planning how to kill myself because I have a reason to show up the next day? Eleanor's face softened. Jordan. No, you asked, so here's the truth. I'm a mess. I'm broken. I'm barely holding on. And yes, Isabel gives me purpose. But that doesn't make it selfish. Because I'm also giving her something. I'm showing her it's okay to be broken. That you don't have to be fixed to be worth something. That, his voice cracked, that the people who love you don't disappear just because you can't see them anymore. Eleanor pulled him into a hug. He stiffened, then collapsed against her shoulder, shaking. They're going to take me away from her, he whispered. Over my dead body. Inside the conference room, Patricia Chen was interviewing Isabel. Eleanor had fought to be present. Had threatened lawsuits until they agreed. Isabel, do you like spending time with Mr. Blackwell? Isabel nodded, clutching Bear. Can you tell me why? He doesn't lie. Patricia wrote something down. What do you mean? Other people say Daddy's in a better place, that he's watching over me, that everything happens for a reason. Isabel's voice was small but clear. Jordan says sometimes bad things just happen, that there's no reason, that it's okay to be angry about it. And that makes you feel better. It makes me feel less crazy. Patricia leaned forward gently. Has Mr. Blackwell ever touched you in a way that made you uncomfortable? Isabel's head snapped up. No, never. He's nice. Has he ever asked you to keep secrets? No. Has he ever made you feel scared? The only thing that scares me is him leaving. Isabel's eyes filled with tears. Everyone leaves. Daddy left. The nannies left. The doctors left. Jordan's the only one who stays. Patricia looked at Eleanor. Mrs. Pierce, can I speak with you privately? In the hallway, Patricia closed her notebook. Mrs. Pierce, I'm not finding evidence of abuse or neglect. Your daughter is clearly attached to Mr. Blackwell, and he seems to genuinely care for her. But I have concerns about the appropriateness of this relationship. What concerns? He's not family. He's not a licensed therapist. He's a maintenance worker with his own unresolved trauma. This isn't a sustainable solution. It's the only solution that's worked. For now. But what happens when he breaks? When his grief becomes too much? When he realizes he can't fix your daughter because she's not his son? Eleanor felt cold. What are you saying? I'm saying you're playing with fire, and your daughter is going to get burned. That night, Eleanor found Jordan on the roof. He stood at the edge, hands on the railing, staring at the city below. Don't. Eleanor's voice was sharp. He turned. Don't what? Don't even think about it. Jordan laughed bitterly. I wasn't. I was. I think about it every day. But not today. Today, I'm just angry. At who? Everyone. The cops, the social worker, you for asking if I'm using Isabel, myself for being so broken that people assume the worst. He turned back to the city. Mostly at God. If he exists. For taking Ethan, for taking Michael, for making a 7-year-old girl suffer for no damn reason. Eleanor stood beside him. I stopped believing in God the day the Coast Guard knocked on my door. What kind of God takes a good man and leaves the world full of terrible ones? Maybe that's the point. Maybe we're supposed to figure it out ourselves. Figure what out? How to keep going when there's no reason to. How to find meaning in meaningless suffering. How to... Jordan's voice broke. How to forgive ourselves for surviving when the people we love didn't. Eleanor felt tears slip down her face. I can't forgive myself. Michael died because I pushed him to take that meeting in Boston. I told him to take the helicopter because it was faster. If I'd just let him take a commercial flight, he'd still be gone. Maybe not that day, but someday. We don't control death, Eleanor. We just live in its shadow. They stood in silence as the city breathed below them. Finally, Eleanor spoke. They're going to fight us. The board, the media, child services. They're going to try to separate you from Isabel. I know. And I'm going to fight back. With everything I have, every lawyer, every dollar, every connection. Jordan looked at her. Why? Why risk everything for me? Because you saved my daughter. Because you're the first person in 8 months who didn't treat her like she's broken. Because... Eleanor's voice caught. Because I think you're saving me too. Jordan reached out, took her hand. Not romantic, just human. Two people holding on in the dark. We're going to lose, he said quietly. Probably. They'll paint me as a predator, you as a neglectful mother. They'll say we're both too damaged to help anyone. They're probably right. So why fight? Eleanor squeezed his hand. Because Isabel spoke. Because she laughed. Because for the first time in 8 months, she asked about tomorrow. That's worth fighting for. Below them, a siren wailed. Somewhere a couple argued. Somewhere a baby cried. Life continued its messy, beautiful, terrible march forward. And up on that roof, two broken people made a decision. They would fight. They would lose everything if necessary. Because sometimes love means standing in the fire. Sometimes it means burning alive just to keep someone else warm. The next morning, Eleanor called a press conference. Against her lawyer's advice, against the board's orders, against every instinct for self-preservation. She stood behind a podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. "I have a brief statement. I will not be taking questions." Eleanor's voice was steel. "My daughter Isabel is 7 years old. 8 months ago, her father died. She stopped speaking, stopped eating, stopped being a child. I hired the best therapists money could buy. They all failed. Then a janitor in my building, a man named Jordan Blackwell, knelt down and gave her a teddy bear. And she stopped crying for the first time in months." The cameras flashed faster. "Jordan lost his son 3 years ago. He understands grief in ways I'm still learning. He's not a licensed therapist. He's not a child development expert. He's just a man who knows what it's like to lose everything and still choose to show up the next day. And that raw honesty, that refusal to pretend pain, has an expiration date. That's what reached my daughter when nothing else could." Someone shouted, "Mrs. Pierce, are you aware he quit his teaching job?" "I'm aware. I'm aware he walked away when grief became too much. I'm aware his wife left him. I'm aware he's been cleaning floors for 2 years because he couldn't face the world anymore. I'm aware of all of it. And I'm aware that despite his pain, despite his trauma, he showed up for my daughter. He gave her something professionals couldn't. He gave her permission to be broken." More questions, more shouting. Eleanor raised her hand. "Here's what I want you to understand. My daughter needs to know that falling apart doesn't make you worthless. That losing someone doesn't mean you have to lose yourself. That sometimes the people society throws away are the ones with the most to give." Eleanor's voice shook. "Jordan Blackwell is not a predator. He's not unstable. He's not dangerous. He's a grieving father who found a way to turn his pain into purpose. And if you try to take him away from my daughter, you'll have to go through me." She walked off the stage. Behind her, chaos erupted. Questions, accusations, her lawyer grabbing her arm. "Eleanor, what have you done? What I should have done 8 months ago, stopped caring what people think." Jordan watched the press conference from Eleanor's office. Isabel sat beside him coloring. "Is Mommy in trouble?" Isabel asked. "Yeah, big trouble. Because of you. Because of us." Isabel set down her crayon. "Are they going to make you leave?" Jordan wanted to lie, wanted to promise everything would be fine, but he'd built this relationship on honesty. "They might try. I won't let them." "Isabel, I won't." Her small voice was fierce. "You're the only person who doesn't treat me like I'm made of glass. Everyone else is scared I'll break more. But you know I'm already broken. You don't try to fix me. You just sit with me while I'm broken." Jordan felt his throat close. "You're not broken, sweetheart. You're hurt. That's different." "What's the difference?" "Broken means you can't be put back together. Hurt means you're healing. Even if it takes forever. Even if the scars never go away. You're still healing." Isabel climbed into his lap, buried her face against his chest. "I don't want to heal without you." Jordan held her close, feeling the weight of responsibility crash down. This child who wasn't his. This child he had no legal right to protect. This child who'd somehow become his reason to keep breathing. "I'm not going anywhere," he whispered. But he didn't know if that was true. Didn't know if love was enough when the law got involved. Didn't know if two broken people could really save each other, or if they'd just drag each other under. All he knew was that in this moment, holding this hurting child, he felt more alive than he had in 3 years. And that had to count for something. That had to mean something. Even if the whole world said otherwise. The backlash hit like a tsunami. By midnight, Eleanor's press conference had 17 million views. By morning, The board called an emergency meeting. By noon, her father showed up unannounced, slamming through her office door like a wrecking ball. "Have you lost your mind?" Eleanor didn't look up from her laptop. "Hello, Dad. Nice to see you too." "Don't patronize me. Do you have any idea what you've done?" The stock dropped 6%. 6% in one day. Investors are panicking. The board wants you removed. Let them try. Eleanor. Her father's voice dropped dangerously low. "I built this company from nothing. I will not watch you destroy it over some janitor with a savior complex." Eleanor's head snapped up. "Get out!" "Excuse me?" "I said get out, and don't come back until you can say Jordan's name without sneering." Her father stared at her like she'd grown a second head. "You've forgotten who you are. You're Eleanor Pierce. You don't bow to public pressure. You don't make emotional decisions. You certainly don't risk everything for someone who cleans toilets." "He doesn't clean toilets. He saved your granddaughter's life. He gave her a teddy bear. That's not saving. That's manipulation." Eleanor stood up, hands flat on her desk. "You want to know what manipulation looks like? It looks like you pushing me into this company when I wanted to study medicine. It looks like you arranging my marriage to Michael because his family had pharmaceutical connections. It looks like you treating your granddaughter like a PR problem instead of a traumatized child." Her father's face went red. "How dare you? How dare I? How dare you? You haven't visited Isabel once since Michael died. Not once. You sent flowers and a card and went back to your golf game. So don't lecture me about what's best for my daughter when you can't even pretend to care. I'm trying to protect this family's legacy. I'm trying to protect my family. There's a difference." Her father grabbed his briefcase. "The board meets tomorrow. They're going to vote you out, and I'm going to let them. Do what you have to do." He left. The door slammed so hard the windows shook. Eleanor collapsed into her chair, hands trembling. Her phone buzzed. Text from her lawyer. "We need to talk. CPS filed for a formal investigation. They want Isabel removed from your custody pending evaluation." Eleanor's world tilted. She called Jordan immediately. "They're trying to take her." "What?" "Child services. They filed paperwork. They're saying I'm not fit, that I'm prioritizing you over her safety." Jordan's voice went hollow. "This is my fault." "No, this is their fault. For making grief look like neglect. For treating healing like harm." "Eleanor, maybe I should go. If I disappear, they'll back off. You'll keep Isabel. You'll keep your company. And she'll lose you. She'll learn that people she cares about abandon her when things get hard. Is that what you want to teach her?" Silence. Then Jordan's voice broken. "No." "Then fight with me. Please." "I don't know how. Neither do I. But we'll figure it out." That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She paced her penthouse coffee, going cold in her hand. Through Isabel's open door, she could see her daughter sleeping, Bear clutched to her chest. Peaceful for the first time in months. If they took Jordan away, that peace would shatter. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. "Mrs. Pierce. This is Jennifer Walsh. I'm a reporter with the Times. I'm not giving interviews. I'm not asking for one. I'm calling because I think your story is being misrepresented." Eleanor paused. "How so?" "The media is painting Jordan Blackwell as either a predator or a saint. Neither is true. I'd like to tell the real story. His story, with his permission." "Why?" "Because I lost my sister to suicide 3 years ago. And if someone like Jordan had been there, someone who understood that kind of pain, maybe she'd still be alive." Jennifer's voice cracked. Credentialed therapists told her to practice gratitude, to think positive, to focus on self-care. None of it worked because none of them understood. They studied depression. She lived it, and she needed someone who lived it too. Eleanor felt something shift. "What do you need from me?" "Nothing. I need to talk to Jordan. if he's willing. I'll ask him. The next morning, Jordan met Jennifer at a coffee shop 3 blocks from Eleanor's building. She was younger than he expected, maybe 30. Tired eyes that had seen too much. "Thank you for meeting me," Jennifer said. "I don't know why I'm here." "Because your story matters. Because right now you're being destroyed by people who don't understand what you did." Jordan stirred his coffee. "What did I do? Besides give a sad kid a teddy bear? You showed her it's okay to not be okay. That's radical in a culture that demands we perform happiness." Jennifer pulled out a recorder. "Can I record this?" "I guess." "Tell me about Ethan." Jordan's hand tightened on his cup. "Why?" "Because everyone's talking about the accident. Nobody's talking about your son, who he was, why you're still carrying his bear." Jordan stared at the recorder, at this stranger asking him to bleed in public. Every instinct screamed to walk away. But then he thought about Isabel, about Eleanor fighting alone, about how his silence was letting other people write his story. Ethan was 6. He loved dinosaurs. Used to correct the museum displays because he'd memorized every fact. He laughed at everything, even things that weren't funny. He'd laugh just because he was happy to be alive. Jordan's voice broke. "And I took that from him. Because I looked away for 1 second. The drunk driver took that from him, not you. I was his father. I was supposed to protect him. You were human. Humans make mistakes. Not mistakes that kill their children." Jennifer leaned forward. "Jordan, do you know how many parents I've interviewed who lost kids? Dozens. Every single one blames themselves. The mom who let her daughter ride her bike alone. The dad who didn't notice the peanut allergy soon enough. The parents who fell asleep while their baby drowned in the tub. Every one of them carries guilt that will never go away. But that guilt doesn't make them bad parents. It makes them parents who love their kids so much they can't forgive themselves for being human." Jordan wiped his eyes. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to hear it. And because when this article runs, people need to understand. You're not a broken man preying on a vulnerable child. You're a broken man showing a vulnerable child that broken doesn't mean worthless. I am preying on her. Part of me is. Part of me needs her as much as she needs me. That's called mutual healing. There's nothing sick about it." Jordan looked at this reporter he'd just met. This woman who somehow understood. "What happened to your sister?" Jennifer's face crumbled. She jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge 2 weeks after her therapist told her she just needed to try harder, to be more positive, to remember all the good things in her life. She wiped her nose. She left a note. Said she was tired of people telling her to be grateful when she wanted to die. Said she felt more alone in therapy than she did in the dark. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just let me tell your story. Let people see that sometimes the helpers need help too. That sometimes the best medicine is just someone saying, 'This is awful, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't.'" Jordan nodded. "Okay, but I need to say something first." "What?" "I love Isabel. Not like I loved Ethan. Different, but real. And if this article makes things worse for her, if it brings more attention, more scrutiny, then at least the scrutiny will be fair. At least people will know who you really are." The article ran 3 days later. Front page, New York Times. "The janitor who saw what therapists missed, Jordan Blackwell, and the radical act of honest grief." Eleanor read it on her tablet while Isabel ate breakfast. Jordan sat across from them, coffee untouched, looking like he might throw up. "It's good," Eleanor said quietly. "It's terrifying. It's honest." The article didn't pull punches. It detailed Ethan's death, Laura leaving, Jordan's suicide ideation, his night shift isolation. But it also told Isabel's story. How 9 therapists failed. How credentials couldn't compete with lived experience. How Jordan's willingness to sit in pain instead of trying to fix it had reached a child nobody else could touch. By noon, the article had 2 million shares. By evening, Jordan's phone was flooded with messages. Other parents who'd lost children. Other grieving people who'd been told to move on, get over it, think positive. People saying thank you for telling the truth. But the hate came too. Messages calling him sick, predatory, unstable. People saying Eleanor was neglectful, that Isabel should be removed, that two broken people couldn't possibly heal each other. Jordan read every message. Let the hate sink into his bones. Stop reading those, Eleanor said, snatching his phone. I need to see what they're saying. You need to remember why you're doing this. Why am I doing this? Eleanor grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. Because 2 weeks ago, my daughter tried to jump off a balcony. Today she asked me if we could go to the park. That's why. Jordan's eyes filled. What if I'm making it worse? What if my damage damages her? What if your damage is exactly what saves her? That afternoon, the board met without Eleanor. She wasn't invited, wasn't welcome. They voted 7-3 to remove her as CEO, effective immediately. Her assistant delivered the news in person, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I tried to stall them. Your father pushed it through. Eleanor felt nothing. No rage, no fear, just clarity. Draft a press release. Say I'm resigning to focus on family. Make it gracious. Eleanor, do it. And start looking for a new job. They'll fire everyone loyal to me by Friday. Alone in her office, Eleanor looked at the empire she'd built. The company worth billions. The staff of thousands. The legacy her father cared about more than his own granddaughter. She felt nothing for any of it. Her phone rang. Jordan. I saw the news. Eleanor, I'm so sorry. Don't be. They can have the company. I'm keeping my daughter. You just lost everything. No, I lost a job. There's a difference. She looked out at Manhattan. I'm done pretending stock prices matter more than people. I'm done sacrificing my family for shareholders. I'm done. What are you going to do? Eleanor surprised herself by laughing. I have no idea. First time in my life I don't have a plan. That's terrifying. That's freedom. That night, Eleanor, Jordan, and Isabel sat on the floor of the penthouse eating takeout pizza. No nannies, no staff. Just 3 people who'd found each other in the wreckage. Mommy, are you sad about your job? Isabel asked. No, baby. I'm relieved. Why? Because now I can be here, really here, not just physically, but... Eleanor struggled for words a 7-year-old would understand. I can be your mom, not a CEO who has a daughter, just your mom. Isabel smiled, a real smile. Good. You're better at being my mom anyway. Jordan watched them, feeling something dangerous bloom in his chest. Hope. Real hope. The kind that hurt because losing it would destroy him. What are you thinking? Eleanor asked. That this won't last. That it's too good. That something will take it away. Jordan? I'm serious. Every time I've been happy, something's ripped it away. Ethan, Laura, my job, everything. I don't know how to trust happiness anymore. Eleanor moved closer. Then don't trust it. Just feel it, right now, this moment. Tomorrow can take care of itself. Isabel crawled into Jordan's lap. Do you know what my therapist said? Before Jordan came, what, sweetheart? She said grief has stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. She said, I need to work through them in order. Isabel looked up at Jordan. But Jordan says grief doesn't have stages. It has waves. Sometimes you're okay. Sometimes you're drowning. Sometimes it's both at the same time. Jordan stroked her hair. Your therapist was wrong. Grief isn't a process you complete. It's a reality you learn to carry. I like your way better. Me too, baby. Me too. They sat in silence as the city glowed beyond the windows. 3 broken people who'd somehow formed something whole, Not perfect, not fixed, but real. Eleanor's phone buzzed. Text from her lawyer. CPS hearing scheduled for Monday. They're pushing for temporary custody transfer pending investigation. Judge Martin presiding. He's tough. This isn't good. Eleanor showed Jordan the message. Watched his face go white. They're really going to take her. Not without a fight. Eleanor, what if fighting isn't enough? What if we lose? Then we lose. But at least we'll lose together. At least Isabel will know we tried. Jordan looked at this woman who'd lost her company defending him. This stranger who'd become family. Why are you doing this? You could cut me loose. Save yourself. Keep Isabel. Because cutting you loose would break her, and I've watched her be broken enough. Eleanor met his eyes. Besides, you saved her. Someone should save you too. I don't deserve saving. Neither do I. Neither does anyone. That's the point. We save each other anyway. Isabel fell asleep between them, bare tucked under her chin. Jordan and Eleanor sat awake, knowing Monday was coming. Knowing they might lose everything. But for tonight, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes that has to be enough. Sometimes, just surviving until tomorrow is the victory. Outside the city never stopped. Sirens wailed. People laughed. Life continued its relentless march forward. Inside, 3 people held on tight. Hoping love would be enough. Hoping broken people really could save each other. Hoping tomorrow wouldn't take away what today had given. But hope is a dangerous thing when you've already lost everything once. It's the match that lights the darkness. It's also the flame that burns you alive when the wind changes direction, and the wind was definitely changing. Monday morning arrived too fast. Eleanor dressed in her most expensive suit armor for war. Jordan wore the same button-down from the press conference, hands shaking as he tied his shoes. Ready? Eleanor asked. No. Good, neither am I. They walked into the courthouse together, Isabel between them holding both their hands. Photographers swarmed, questions shouted, flashes blinding. Mrs. Pierce, do you regret defending Mr. Blackwell? Mr. Blackwell, do you think you're fit to be around children? Isabel, are you scared of Jordan? Isabel looked up at Jordan. Should I answer? You don't have to answer anyone but yourself. She turned to the cameras, small voice but steady. Jordan is my best friend. And if you take him away, I'll never talk again. Ever. Eleanor squeezed her hand. That's my girl. Inside the courtroom was packed. Reporters. Social workers. Eleanor's father in the back row, face unreadable, and Judge Martin, 60-something gray hair eyes that missed nothing. All rise. The hearing began. Patricia Chen testified first, described Jordan's background. His mental health history, his unresolved trauma, made it sound dangerous instead of human. Your Honor, Mr. Blackwell has documented struggles with depression and suicidal ideation. He quit his teaching position without notice. He's been isolated for years. These are red flags for someone spending unsupervised time with a vulnerable child. Eleanor's lawyer stood. Objection. Ms. Chen is pathologizing normal grief responses. Millions of Americans struggle with depression. That doesn't make them dangerous. Sustained. Ms. Chen, stick to facts. The fact is, Mr. Blackwell is using this child to process his own loss. That's not help. That's codependency. Jordan gripped the table. Eleanor put her hand over his. Stay calm. Next, Doctor. Morrison testified. The therapist who'd failed to reach Isabel. She looked uncomfortable, but determined. In my professional opinion, Isabel needs structured therapeutic intervention. Mr. Blackwell's approach, while well-meaning, lacks clinical foundation. He's teaching her that grief is permanent. That's not healthy. What would be healthy? The judge asked. Teaching her coping mechanisms, resilience. Ways to process trauma that don't involve wallowing in it. And did your coping mechanisms work? Dr. Morrison shifted. Isabel was resistant to treatment, but that doesn't mean, did they work, yes or no? No, Your Honor. But Mr. Blackwell's approach did. Short-term, yes, but long-term, he's creating dependency. The judge made a note, called Jordan to the stand. Jordan walked up, legs unsteady, placed his hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. Eleanor's lawyer went first. Softball questions about his background, his intentions, his relationship with Isabel. Mr. Blackwell, why did you give Isabel your son's teddy bear? Because I saw myself in her, someone drowning and trying not to let anyone see. I thought if she had something that understood loss, really understood it, maybe she'd feel less alone. Has your relationship with Isabel helped your own healing? Yes. She reminds me that grief doesn't make you broken. It makes you human, and being human is worth fighting for. Then CPS's lawyer stood. Young, ambitious, hungry for a win. Mr. Blackwell, you've stated you have suicidal thoughts. Is that correct? I've had them, yes. Present tense or past? Jordan hesitated. Lying would help his case. Honesty might destroy it. Sometimes present. Gasps from the gallery. Eleanor closed her eyes. So you're actively suicidal and spending time alone with a 7-year-old child. I didn't say actively suicidal. I said sometimes I have thoughts. There's a difference. Is there? You think about killing yourself and then you spend time with an impressionable child. What happens when those thoughts get louder? What happens when you decide to act on them? Jordan's hands clenched. I would never hurt Isabel. I'm not suggesting you'd hurt her. I'm suggesting your death would destroy her. She's already lost her father. If she loses you too, especially by suicide, that trauma would be catastrophic. Jordan felt the words like bullets, because they were true. If he died, Isabel would break, maybe permanently. I'm still here, he said quietly. That counts for something. Does it? Or are you just delaying the inevitable? Objection. Eleanor's lawyer jumped up. Counsel is harassing the witness. Overruled. Mr. Blackwell opened this door by admitting suicidal ideation. The court needs to understand the risk. The CPS lawyer moved closer. Mr. Blackwell, do you believe you're emotionally stable enough to be responsible for a child's well-being? No, I don't think anyone is. But I'm trying. That's all any of us can do. Just try. Trying isn't enough when a child's safety is at stake. Then what is enough credentials that don't work? Therapy that makes kids feel crazier, telling them to be grateful when they want to die? Jordan's voice rose. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I'm claiming to be honest. And honesty is what Isabel needs, not someone pretending grief has an expiration date. The lawyer smiled. So you admit you're not qualified to help her. I admit I'm the only one who has. Silence. Then the judge spoke. Mr. Blackwell stepped down. I'd like to speak with Isabel, in chambers. Eleanor stood. Your Honor, she's 7. I'm aware, Mrs. Pierce, but this case hinges on her well-being. I need to hear from her directly. Isabel walked into the judge's chambers, clutching Bear so tight her knuckles went white. Eleanor tried to follow, but the bailiff stopped her. Only the child, ma'am. She's 7 years old. She'll be fine. Judge Martin is good with kids. The door closed. Eleanor pressed her hand against the wood, feeling helpless. Jordan stood beside her, face gray. What if she says the wrong thing? Eleanor whispered. There is no wrong thing. She'll tell the truth. The truth might not be enough. Inside the chambers, Judge Martin sat behind his desk. He gestured to a chair across from him. Isabel climbed up, feet dangling. Hello, Isabel. I'm Judge Martin. Do you know why you're here? Isabel nodded. Can you tell me? Because people think Jordan is bad for me. Is he bad for you? No, he's the only good thing left. Judge Martin leaned back. Tell me about Jordan. How did you meet him? I was crying. Nobody could see me. But he did. He gave me Bear. Isabel held up the teddy. Bear belonged to his son. His son died, like my daddy died. That must have been sad for Jordan, losing his son. It was sad for everyone, but nobody talks about sad things. They pretend. Jordan doesn't pretend. What does Jordan do instead? Isabel thought carefully. He sits with me when I'm sad. He doesn't say it'll get better. He just says it's okay to be sad. That daddy isn't coming back and that's awful, and I can be mad about it. Are you mad about it? Every day. But Jordan says being mad means I love daddy. That if I didn't care, I wouldn't hurt. So the hurt is proof I love him. Judge Martin wrote something down. Do you feel safe with Jordan? Safer than with anyone, because he won't leave. Everyone else leaves when I get too sad. My nannies quit. My therapists gave up. Even mommy gets scared sometimes. But Jordan understands sad. He lives there too. What do you mean he lives there? Isabel's voice got small. He misses his son, like I miss my daddy. Sometimes I see him cry. He thinks I don't notice, but I do. And that makes me feel less alone. Like I'm not the only one who's broken. Do you think you're broken? Don't you? Everyone else does. They look at me like I'm glass. Like talking about daddy will shatter me. But Jordan knows I'm already shattered. He just helps me pick up the pieces. What happens if Jordan goes away? Isabel's eyes filled with tears. Then I'll know the truth. That people leave. That love isn't enough. That even when you need someone, they disappear. She wiped her nose with her hand. And I'll stop trying. Because why try if everyone leaves anyway? Isabel, the people here today are trying to protect you. From what? From being sad. I'm already sad. Taking Jordan away won't fix that. It'll just make me sadder, and angrier, and more broken than before. Judge Martin looked at this 7-year-old girl, speaking with the exhaustion of someone who'd lived 50 years. What would you like me to do? Let Jordan stay, please. He's all I have left. You have your mother. Mommy's trying. But she doesn't get it. Not really. She's sad, but she's also busy and scared and worried about what people think. Jordan isn't worried about what people think. He's just worried about me. How do you know? Because he gave me Bear. That was all he had left of his son, and he gave it to me. That's love. Real love, not the kind that sends flowers. The kind that gives away the thing that hurts most because someone else needs it more. Judge Martin studied her. This child who'd been silent for 8 months. This child who spoke more clearly than most adults. Thank you, Isabel. You can go back to your mother now. Isabel slid off the chair. At the door, she turned back. Judge Martin. Yes. If you take Jordan away, I'll stop talking again. Forever. Because if the world won't let me keep the people who save me, then what's the point of being saved? She left. The door closed behind her. Judge Martin sat alone in his chambers, staring at his notes. 30 years on the bench, thousands of cases. But this child's words hit different. Because she wasn't manipulating, wasn't performing. She was stating facts the way you'd state the sky is blue. Jordan saves her. Removing him would destroy her. Simple as that. But the law wasn't simple. The law said unstable adults shouldn't have unsupervised access to children. The law said credentials matter. The law said protecting children meant following protocol. The law didn't care that sometimes broken people heal each other. Outside, Eleanor grabbed Isabel. What did you say? What happened? I told the truth. What truth? That Jordan is all I have. That taking him away will break me worse than Daddy dying did. Eleanor felt her heart crack. Baby, you have me. You'll always have me. I know, Mommy, but you don't understand like Jordan does. You try, but you don't live in the sad place. Jordan does. We're roommates there. Jordan knelt down. Isabel, you can't threaten judges. You can't say you'll stop talking. Why not? It's true. If they take you away, what's the point? I'll just go back to being invisible. At least that doesn't hurt. You are not invisible. I was, for 8 months, and I'll be invisible again if you leave. Eleanor pulled them both close. Nobody's leaving. We're fighting this. But what if we lose? Then we lose. But you don't stop talking. You don't give up. You keep fighting even when the world says stop. That's what Jordan taught you. That's what we do. Court reconvened an hour later. Judge Martin took his seat, face unreadable. I've reviewed the testimony. I've spoken with Isabel. This is not a simple case. He paused. On one hand, Mr. Blackwell has documented mental health struggles, suicidal ideation, history of abandoning responsibilities. These are legitimate concerns when considering child welfare. Eleanor gripped the table. Jordan closed his eyes. On the other hand, Mr. Blackwell has achieved what 9 licensed therapists could not. Isabel is speaking, eating, engaging with life. By every measurable outcome, his presence has been beneficial. The judge looked directly at Jordan. Mr. Blackwell, I'm going to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Can you guarantee you won't harm yourself while you're involved in this child's life? Jordan wanted to lie. Wanted to promise he'd never have another dark thought. But Isabel's voice echoed in his head. Jordan doesn't pretend. No, Your Honor, I can't guarantee that. Gasps from the gallery. Eleanor's lawyer dropped his pen. I can't guarantee it because I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know if the thoughts will get louder. I don't know if I'll wake up one day and decide I can't do this anymore. Jordan's voice shook. But I can guarantee that right now today, Isabel is the reason I'm still breathing. She's the reason I get out of bed. She's the reason I answer the phone when it rings. She saves me as much as I save her. And maybe that's not ideal. Maybe it's codependent and messy and imperfect, but it's real, and it's working. Judge Martin was quiet for a long moment. Ms. Chen, in your professional opinion, is it harmful for a child to be someone's reason to live? Patricia Chen stood. It's a lot of pressure, Your Honor. If Isabel feels responsible for keeping Mr. Blackwell alive. That's not what I asked. Is it harmful? It's complicated. Everything's complicated. I'm asking for your professional opinion. Patricia looked at Isabel, at Jordan, at Eleanor. No, Your Honor. If I'm being honest, it's not harmful. It's human. We all need reasons to live. Sometimes those reasons are people we love. That's not wrong. That's just life. Thank you for your honesty. Judge Martin turned to Dr. Morrison. Doctor, you testified that Isabel needs structured therapy, but your structured therapy didn't work. Why should the court trust your methods over Mr. Blackwell's? Dr. Morrison's face flushed. Because my methods are evidence-based. Evidence-based on what success rates? Because by that measure, Mr. Blackwell has a 100% success rate with Isabel, while you have 0%. That's not fair. Fair, a 7-year-old girl tried to jump off a balcony under your care. Then a janitor gave her a teddy bear and she started talking. How is that not evidence? Dr. Morrison sat down silent. Judge Martin looked at his notes again. The courtroom held its breath. Here's what I know. The mental health system in this country is broken. We medicate people who need to be heard. We credential people who studied pain but never felt it. We create protocols that protect institutions more than patients. And then when someone outside the system actually helps, we tear them down because they don't have the right letters after their name. He looked at Jordan. Mr. Blackwell, you are not a perfect solution. You're a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. But you're the only Band-Aid that stopped the bleeding. So here's my ruling. Eleanor stopped breathing. I'm granting conditional approval for Mr. Blackwell to continue his relationship with Isabel. Conditions are as follows. 1. He attends weekly therapy himself to address his mental health. 2. All interactions with Isabel are logged and documented. 3. If at any point his mental state deteriorates to the point of being a danger to himself or others. This arrangement ends immediately. 4. We reconvene in 6 months to evaluate progress. Relief flooded through Eleanor. Jordan's legs went weak. However, the judge continued, I'm also ordering that Isabel continue seeing a licensed therapist. Not instead of Mr. Blackwell, in addition to him. Because while his approach works, she needs professional guidance too. This isn't either or, it's both and. He banged his gavel. Court adjourned. The courtroom exploded. Reporters rushed for the exits. Patricia Chen looked stunned. Dr. Morrison gathered her files in silence. Eleanor grabbed Jordan. We won! Oh my God, we won! We didn't win. We got a temporary pass. 6 months. Then they'll come for us again. 6 months is 6 months. We'll take it. Isabel ran to them. Jordan caught her, lifted her up. She wrapped her arms around his neck. You're staying. For now, yeah. Forever. Let's start with today, then tomorrow, then the day after. We'll build forever, one day at a time. Outside the courthouse, the media swarmed. Questions flying like bullets. Eleanor stepped to the microphones, Jordan beside her, Isabel between them. I have a brief statement. Today, the court recognized what I've known for months. That healing isn't one size fits all. That sometimes the people with the most to give are the ones society overlooks. That credentials matter less than compassion. And that my daughter deserves to keep the person who saved her life. Mrs. Pierce, do you have concerns about Mr. Blackwell's mental health? I have concerns about everyone's mental health. We live in a world that's on fire. The question isn't whether someone struggles, it's whether they're dealing with it honestly. And Jordan is the most honest person I've ever met. Mr. Blackwell, how do you respond to critics who say you're using Isabel to replace your son? Jordan stepped forward. I'm not replacing Ethan. Nobody could replace him. But Isabel reminds me why life's worth living. Why getting out of bed matters. Why fighting through pain is better than surrendering to it. If that's using her, then I'm guilty. But I call it surviving. And we're surviving together. What happens in 6 months when the court reviews this case again? Then we'll show them what 6 months of honest healing looks like. We'll show them that broken people can save each other. And if they still don't believe us... Jordan looked down at Isabel. Then we'll keep fighting. Because she's worth it. They walked away through the crowd. Cameras flashing. Questions shouting. But the three of them held tight to each other. A mother. A child. A man who'd lost everything and found something worth living for. That night, they collapsed in Eleanor's penthouse. Exhausted. Relieved. Terrified of what came next. 6 months. Eleanor said, staring at the ceiling. That's not long. It's long enough to prove them wrong, Jordan replied. Or prove them right. You really think I'm going to hurt her? No, I think you're going to hurt yourself. And that will destroy her. Jordan sat up. Eleanor, I'm serious. The judge was right. Your death would shatter her. So you can't die. You understand. For the next 6 months, maybe forever, you can't die. That's not how it works. Then make it work. Get therapy. Take medication. Do whatever it takes. Because I can't watch my daughter lose someone else she loves. You think she loves me? I know she does. And honestly, Eleanor's voice cracked. I think I'm starting to too. Jordan stared at her. What? Not romantic love. Not yet. Maybe never. But... Eleanor struggled for words. You're the first person since Michael died who makes me feel less alone. Who doesn't need me to be strong all the time. Who lets me fall apart without judging. Eleanor, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you. You matter, not just to Isabel. To me. So please, please don't give up. Jordan moved closer. Took her hand. I'm not giving up. Not today, maybe not ever. But I can't promise forever. I can only promise right now. Then promise me right now. Every day. Wake up and promise me one more day. I promise." They sat in silence as Isabel slept down the hall. Two broken people trying to build something whole. Not perfect, not healed, but trying. Jordan's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. He opened it. "You don't know me, but I lost my daughter 5 years ago. Leukemia. My wife blamed me. Said I didn't pray hard enough, didn't fight hard enough. She left. I was alone. Thought about ending it every day. Then I read Jennifer Walsh's article about you, about how you're surviving by helping someone else survive. And I realized that's what I need to do. So thank you for showing me there's another way. You saved my life by trying to save yours." Jordan showed Eleanor. She read it, tears streaming. "There's going to be more of these," she whispered. "People who see themselves in you. That's terrifying." "That's responsibility. You opened a door. Now people are going to walk through it." Jordan looked at his phone, at the message from a stranger, at the weight of being someone's hope. "I don't know if I can carry that." "You don't have to carry it alone. That's what I'm here for. That's what Isabel's here for. We carry each other." The next morning, Jordan started therapy. A woman named Dr. Sandra Okoye, who specialized in grief and trauma. She didn't try to fix him, didn't offer platitudes, just listened. "Tell me about Ethan," she said. "Everyone wants to know about Ethan." "Because Ethan is the door. You can't heal what you won't face." Jordan talked about the accident, about Laura leaving, about the 2 years of pushing a cleaning cart through empty hallways, wishing he was dead, about meeting Isabel, about finding purpose in her pain. "Do you think you're using her?" Dr. Okoye asked. "Probably, at least partly." "Is she using you?" Jordan paused. "I never thought about it that way." Mutual need isn't exploitation, it's relationship. The question is whether the need is healthy or destructive. How do I know the difference? If being with her makes you want to live more, it's healthy. If being with her is the only reason you want to live, it's dangerous. Jordan thought about that. What if it's both? Then we work on expanding your reasons. Building a life that's bigger than just one person. Because right now, Isabel is your lifeline. But lifelines can break. And when they do, you need other anchors. I don't know how to build other anchors. Then let's figure it out together. Over the next few weeks, Jordan's life transformed. He still spent time with Isabel, still told her stories, still sat with her in the sadness. But he also started reconnecting with the world. He called his old principal at Jefferson Elementary, apologized for walking out. She cried on the phone. "Jordan, we've been worried about you for 3 years. Where have you been?" "Nowhere, everywhere, mostly just surviving." "Do you want to come back? We'd take you back in a heartbeat." "I don't know if I'm ready." "Then don't teach, just visit. Let the kids see you. They ask about you, you know, Mr. Blackwell who disappeared." Jordan visited the next week, walked through hallways he'd fled 3 years ago, saw kids he'd taught now tall or older. They remembered him, ran up hugging his legs. "Mr. Blackwell, where did you go? I got lost for a while, but I'm finding my way back." One little girl, maybe 7, looked up at him seriously. "My mom says you were sad because your little boy died." "That's right." "Are you still sad?" "Every day." "But you're here anyway." "Yeah, I'm here anyway." She hugged him tighter. "I'm glad you came back." Jordan felt something crack open in his chest. Maybe Dr. Okoye was right. Maybe he needed more than Isabel. Maybe he needed to remember he could help more than one person. That his purpose didn't begin and end with a single 7-year-old girl. Meanwhile, Eleanor was building her own new life. Without the company, without the title, without the empire. At first it felt like drowning. She'd been CEO for 15 years. It was her identity. Without it, who was she? A mother. That's who. She started volunteering at a grief support group for parents who'd lost partners. Sat in circles listening to stories like hers, realizing she wasn't alone. "My husband died 18 months ago," one woman said. And everyone tells me I should be over it by now, that I should start dating, move on. But how do you move on from 20 years? You don't, Eleanor said quietly. You just learn to carry it. The woman looked at her. You're Eleanor Pierce. I saw you on the news. Used to be Eleanor Pierce. Now I'm just Eleanor. Eleanor who's trying to figure out how to live in the after. The after is the hardest part. Yeah, it really is. Eleanor made friends there. Real friends. Not networking contacts or business associates. People who understood loss. Who didn't need her to be strong or successful or anything except honest. And slowly, week by week, she started to feel human again. At home, the three of them fell into routines. Breakfast together. Isabel went to school while Jordan attended therapy, and Eleanor volunteered. Afternoons they'd meet in the park. Jordan would tell stories. Isabel would draw. Eleanor would just watch, amazed that this was her life now. You look happy, Jordan said one afternoon. I look surprised, Eleanor corrected. I didn't think happy was still possible. Is it? Maybe, or maybe it's just less sad. Either way, I'll take it. Isabel ran up holding a dandelion. Make a wish. Eleanor closed her eyes. Blue. Seeds scattered in the wind. What did you wish for? Isabel asked. Can't tell you or it won't come true. That's a stupid rule. Most rules are stupid. That's why we follow them anyway. Jordan laughed. Actually laughed. Eleanor stared at him. What? He asked. That's the first time I've heard you laugh. Really laugh. Is it? Yeah, it's nice. You should do it more. I'll work on it. But that night alone in his apartment, Jordan's darkness came back. It always did, like a tide. Some days you could ignore it. Some days it pulled you under. He stared at the bottle of sleeping pills in his medicine cabinet. Counted them. 30. More than enough. His phone buzzed. Text from Isabel. Good night, Jordan. See you tomorrow. Love you. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Love you. Jordan put the pills back. Texted back. Love you too, kiddo. See you tomorrow. He called Dr. Okoye. It was midnight, but she'd told him to call any time. Jordan, what's wrong? I was counting pills. Did you take any? No. Isabel texted me. Reminded me tomorrow exists. That's good. That's your anchor working. But what happens when the anchor isn't enough? What happens when I count pills and she doesn't text? Then you call me, or Eleanor, or 911. You have multiple anchors now, remember? Not just one. What if I don't want to call? What if I just want it to stop? Dr. Okoye's voice was gentle but firm. Then you call anyway, because wanting it to stop is normal. Acting on it is permanent. And permanent means Isabel loses you. Eleanor loses you. Every kid you might teach again loses you. Every person who reads about your story and finds hope loses you. You matter to more people than you think. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of purpose. There's a difference. Jordan hung up, lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow. He just had to make it to tomorrow. Then tomorrow. Then the day after. One day at a time. That's what Isabel had taught him. That's what he'd taught her. Survival wasn't a grand gesture. It was just waking up. Just showing up. Just choosing one more day. And tonight, he chose tomorrow. 4 months passed like water through fingers, fast and slow at the same time. Jordan kept showing up. Eleanor kept fighting. Isabel kept talking. And slowly, impossibly, they started to feel like something more than 3 broken people, barely holding on. They felt like family. Eleanor's father showed up unannounced on a Tuesday morning. Jordan was making pancakes while Isabel set the table. The doorbell rang, and Eleanor opened it to find him standing there, older, somehow, diminished. Dad, what are you doing here? Can I come in? Eleanor hesitated, then stepped aside. Her father walked into the kitchen, stopped when he saw Jordan flipping pancakes, Isabel laughing at something he'd said. "Is this what you gave up everything for?" her father asked. "Yeah, this is exactly what I gave up everything for." Her father looked at Jordan, really looked at him. Not through him, at him. "You're the janitor, the former janitor. Now I'm just Jordan. You cost my daughter her company." "No, sir. Your daughter chose her child over her company. There's a difference." Eleanor's father's jaw clenched. "You have no idea what you've done. The damage, the scandal. Our family name is just a name," Eleanor interrupted. "Isabel is real. Jordan is real. This life is real. Your empire is just buildings and money and stock prices that mean nothing when you're burying your husband." Her father looked at Isabel. "How are you, sweetheart?" Isabel walked over, stood in front of him. "You didn't come to my birthday." "I was busy." "You're always busy." "But Jordan came. He made me a cake shaped like a dinosaur because I told him I like dinosaurs now." "What do I like, Grandpa? Do you even know?" Eleanor's father opened his mouth, closed it, looked at his granddaughter like he was seeing her for the first time. "I don't know. I like drawing, and stories about sad things that get better, and Jordan's pancakes, and when Mommy hugs me even when she's tired, and remembering Daddy without people telling me to stop being sad." Isabel's voice was clear, strong. "But you don't know any of that because you never asked." "Isabel, Jordan asks, every day. He asks how I'm feeling and actually waits for the answer, even when the answer is bad. Especially when the answer is bad." Eleanor's father looked at Eleanor. "She's changed." "Yeah. She's alive. That's the change." "I was wrong." The words came out strangled. "I was wrong about everything. About Jordan. About what matters. About—" his voice broke. "About being so focused on legacy that I forgot about family." Eleanor felt tears sting. "Dad." "No, let me finish. When your mother died, I threw myself into work. Told myself building something that lasted was how I honored her. But she wouldn't have wanted a company. She would have wanted me to be there for you, to be there for Isabel. And I wasn't. I chose board meetings over birthdays, stock prices over Sunday dinners. I chose wrong." Jordan quietly removed the pancakes from the heat, gave them space. "I can't undo the past," Eleanor's father continued. "I can't get back the time I wasted. But I'm asking—" He looked at Isabel. "I'm asking if maybe I could start showing up now. If maybe it's not too late to be your grandpa." Isabel studied him with those two old eyes. "Do you promise to actually be here? Not just say you will, and then disappear?" "I promise." "And you won't be mean to Jordan?" Eleanor's father looked at Jordan, extended his hand. "I was wrong about you. I judged you without knowing you. I'm sorry." Jordan shook his hand. "Apology accepted, but hurt Eleanor or Isabel again, and we're going to have problems." "Fair enough." They ate pancakes together. Awkward at first, then easier. Eleanor watched her father ask Isabel about school, actually listen to her answers, laugh at Jordan's terrible jokes, watch something she thought was broken forever start to mend. After breakfast, her father pulled Eleanor aside. "The board wants to offer you a consulting position, part-time, your own terms." They realized they made a mistake. "Tell them no." "Eleanor, I'm done with that world, Dad. I'm building something different now." "Building what?" "A foundation. For grieving families. A place where people like Jordan can help people like Isabel. Where lived experience matters more than credentials. Where broken people can save each other without everyone calling it codependency." Her father smiled. Genuinely smiled. "Your mother would be proud." "Yeah, I think she would." That afternoon, Eleanor met with lawyers to finalize the foundation paperwork. Jordan came along still uncomfortable in conference rooms but trying. So we're calling it Ethan's Light, the lawyer asked. Jordan nodded. After my son. He was the light in my life. Now maybe his name can be light for others. And the mission statement, Eleanor read from her notes. To provide support for grieving children through mentorship from adults who understand loss firsthand. To challenge the notion that only licensed professionals can heal. To create spaces where grief is honored, not rushed. Where broken people can find purpose in helping other broken people. The lawyer typed. And funding. I'm putting in $10 million to start. Plus my father pledged $5 million. We're expecting donations from people who've followed our story. Speaking of which, the lawyer pulled out a stack of letters. These have been arriving at my office. People wanting to help, wanting to volunteer, wanting to share their stories. Jordan picked up a letter, read it, felt his chest tighten. This woman lost her husband to cancer. Says her kids stopped talking for 6 months. Says reading about Isabel gave her hope that silence isn't permanent. Eleanor took another letter. This man lost his daughter to suicide. Says he's been pushing people away for years, but our story made him realize isolation isn't healing. They sat reading letters from strangers, stories of loss and survival, pain and hope. People who saw themselves in Isabel, in Jordan, in Eleanor. People who needed to know they weren't alone. We have to help them, Jordan whispered. That's the plan. But Jordan. Eleanor met his eyes. This is going to be big, public. You're going to be the face of this. People are going to look at you as some kind of hero. Can you handle that? I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who didn't die when he wanted to. That's exactly why you're the right person, because you're honest about it. Jordan looked at the letters again, at all these people reaching out, drowning and hoping someone would throw them a rope. Okay, let's do this. The foundation launched 3 months before the court review date. They rented space in Brooklyn, hired staff, trained volunteers, created a program where grieving adults were matched with grieving children based on their losses. Parent who lost a child with child who lost a parent. Widow with child who lost a mother. Widower with child who lost a father. The first session, Jordan stood in front of 20 volunteers. All of them carrying their own grief. All of them terrified and hopeful. I'm Jordan. 6 years ago, I lost my son. 3 years ago, I lost my wife. 2 years ago, I lost myself. I spent those 2 years invisible, pushing a cleaning cart, wishing I was dead. Then I met Isabel. And she reminded me that being broken doesn't mean being worthless. That sometimes the people who've fallen apart are the ones who know how to help others pick up the pieces. A woman raised her hand. What if we make it worse? What if our grief damages the kids we're trying to help? Then we'll fail honestly, which is better than succeeding with lies. These kids don't need us to be healed. They need us to be real, to show them that you can hurt and still keep going. That loving someone who's gone doesn't mean you have to die too. A man in the back spoke up. I lost my wife 4 years ago. My daughter hasn't smiled since. Every therapist we've seen tells her to focus on happy memories, to be grateful for the time they had. But she's 8. She doesn't want gratitude. She wants her mom back. Then tell her that, Jordan said. Tell her it's okay to want the impossible. That anger is better than numbness. That grief isn't something you fix, it's something you carry. And some days it's lighter, and some days it crushes you. But either way, you're still here. Still breathing. Still trying. What if I'm not strong enough? You're here. That's strong enough. Over the next few weeks, Ethan's light grew. More volunteers, more families, more kids starting to speak after months of silence. More parents finding purpose in their pain. Jordan worked 70-hour weeks, meeting families, training volunteers, telling Ethan's story over and over until it hurt less and less each time. Eleanor worked alongside him, handling logistics, fundraising, managing staff, building something that mattered more than stock prices ever had. And Isabel became their youngest volunteer, helping new kids feel comfortable, drawing with them, sharing bear when someone needed it more. "Why do you help other kids?" one little boy asked her. "Because someone helped me, and before that I was alone, and being alone when you're sad is the worst thing in the world." "But aren't you still sad?" "Every day. But I'm not alone anymore. That's the difference." 2 weeks before the court review, Jordan got a call from Laura, his ex-wife, the woman he hadn't spoken to in 3 years. "Jordan, it's me." His hand tightened on the phone. "Laura, I saw the articles. About you and that little girl. About the foundation. Her voice broke. "I need to talk to you." They met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. Laura looked different, older, tired, but steady somehow. "I'm sorry," she said immediately, "for leaving, for blaming you, for making you carry all the guilt alone." Jordan stirred his coffee. "I was driving. It was my fault." "No, it was the drunk driver's fault. You looked away for a second. That's being human. I made you into a monster because I needed someone to blame. And that was wrong." "Laura, I've been in therapy, real therapy, dealing with my grief instead of running from it. And I realized I lost 2 people that day, Ethan and you. I lost you because I pushed you away, made you think you deserved to suffer alone." Jordan felt tears build. "I did deserve it." "No. You deserved a partner, someone to grieve with. Instead, I gave you divorce papers and silence. I gave you hell when you needed help." "Why are you telling me this now?" Laura reached across the table, took his hand. "Because I read about what you're doing, how you're helping that little girl, how you've built this foundation, and I realized you're doing what we should have done together. You're surviving, you're finding purpose, and She wiped her eyes. "I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me most." Jordan couldn't speak, just held her hand and cried, for Ethan, for their marriage, for the 3 years they'd both spent drowning alone. "Can I help?" Laura asked. "With the foundation. I'm a nurse. I could volunteer. I could—" She stopped. "I want to do something good with this pain, like you're doing." Jordan nodded. "Yeah, we could use the help." They sat in silence, not awkward, just present. 2 people who'd loved the same child, finding their way back to being human. "He'd be proud of you," Laura whispered. "Ethan, he'd be so proud of his dad." "I hope so. I really hope so." The court review happened on a cold November morning. 6 months after Judge Martin's conditional approval. 6 months of building and growing and proving broken people could save each other. The courtroom was packed. Media, families from Ethan's Light, volunteers. Eleanor's father in the front row. Patricia Chen testified first. "Over the past 6 months, I've monitored Mr. Blackwell's interactions with Isabel. I've reviewed his therapy records. I've spoken with families he's helped through the foundation. And I have to say," she paused, "I was wrong. Mr. Blackwell isn't using Isabel. He's showing her how to survive. And in the process, he's helping dozens of other families do the same." Dr. Morrison testified next. "Isabel has continued individual therapy with me alongside her time with Mr. Blackwell, and I've seen remarkable progress. She's processing her grief in healthy ways. She's building resilience. Dr. Morrison smiled slightly. "She's teaching me things I never learned in school. About how grief works. About what really helps." Judge Martin called Isabel to the stand. She walked up, no longer scared, and sat down. "Isabel, how are you doing?" "Better, not perfect, but better." "Is Jordan still helping you?" "Every day. But now I'm helping other kids too. Kids like me who lost people. I tell them it's okay to be sad. That Jordan taught me being sad means you loved someone. And loving someone is always worth it even when they're gone. Are you scared Jordan will leave? Isabel thought about it. Sometimes. But then I remember what he told me. That even if he's not here, the things he taught me stay. That love doesn't end when someone goes away. It just changes shape. Like how I still love my daddy, even though he's not here. Judge Martin nodded. Thank you, Isabel. Jordan testified last, talked about his therapy, about Laura coming back into his life, about the foundation, about waking up every morning and choosing tomorrow. Mr. Blackwell, the judge asked, 6 months ago you couldn't guarantee you wouldn't harm yourself. Can you guarantee it now? No. Your Honor, I still can't guarantee tomorrow, but I can promise today, and I've promised today for 183 days in a row. At some point, all those todays become a life. They become proof that you can survive what you thought would kill you. Are you still suicidal? Some days the thoughts come, but now I have tools, people to call, reasons to stay, and most importantly, I have purpose. I have kids who need me, volunteers who look up to me, Isabel who trusts me. I can't guarantee I'll never struggle, but I can guarantee I'm committed to fighting. Judge Martin reviewed his notes. The courtroom held its breath. 6 months ago, I took a risk. I allowed an unconventional relationship to continue because conventional methods had failed, and I told everyone that if this experiment failed, we'd end it immediately. He looked at Jordan. This experiment didn't fail. It succeeded beyond anything I could have imagined. Mr. Blackwell, you've not only helped Isabel, you've created a model for helping hundreds of families. You've challenged our assumptions about who can heal and how healing works. You've proven that sometimes the best therapist is someone who's survived what you're surviving. Eleanor grabbed Jordan's hand. Therefore, I'm removing all conditions. Mr. Blackwell, you're free to continue your relationship with Isabel without court supervision. I'm also recommending that the state look into adopting your foundation's model for other grief support programs. What you've built here should be replicated nationwide. The gavel banged. The courtroom erupted in applause. Isabel ran to Jordan. He caught her, lifted her up, held her tight. We won, she whispered. We survived. That's better than winning. Eleanor joined them, pulling them both close. Her father approached, eyes wet. I'm proud of you, he said to Eleanor. Then to Jordan. Both of you. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed again. But this time, Jordan didn't feel afraid, didn't feel exposed. He felt purposeful. Mr. Blackwell, what's next for Ethan's Light? We're expanding, opening 5 more locations, training more volunteers, reaching more families, showing the world that grief doesn't have to be faced alone. What would you say to people who are where you were 3 years ago? Thinking about giving up. Jordan looked at Isabel, at Eleanor, at the crowd of people who'd come to support them. I'd say today is enough. You don't have to fix your whole life. You don't have to heal completely. You just have to choose today, then tomorrow, then the day after. And somewhere along the way, all those days become a life, a real messy, beautiful life. And that life is worth living, I promise. That night they celebrated at Eleanor's penthouse. Her father, Laura, volunteers from the foundation, Isabel running around with other kids who'd learned to laugh again. Jordan stood on the balcony watching the city. Eleanor joined him. You did it, she said. We did it, all of us. I never thanked you properly. For saving Isabel, for saving me. You saved me too. You and Isabel both. I was drowning, and you threw me a rope without even knowing it. Eleanor leaned against the railing. What do you think happens now, after all this? I don't know. We keep going. We keep helping people. We keep choosing tomorrow. That's it. That's the plan. That's the plan. Not very exciting, is it? Eleanor laughed. It's the most exciting thing in the world. Choosing to live when dying would be easier. That's radical. That's revolutionary. Isabel appeared in the doorway. Jordan, Can you tell the story about the bottle cap again? The new kids want to hear it. Jordan followed her inside, sat on the floor surrounded by children who'd lost parents, parents who'd lost children, all of them broken, all of them surviving. Once there was a bottle cap, he began. Just a regular blue bottle cap with ridges on the sides. It thought it was important because it lived on a bottle. Then one day it rolled under a bookshelf, and there it stayed forgotten, thinking it didn't matter anymore. The kids listened, eyes wide, hearts open. But then a new kid came along, a sad kid who collected bottle caps, who looked under things other people ignored. And that kid found the bottle cap, picked it up, and said the 5 most important words in the world. What words? A little girl asked. Jordan looked at Isabel, at Eleanor, at Laura standing in the doorway, at all these people who'd been lost and found each other. I've been looking for you. The little girl smiled. Someone found me too. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here, because someone looked. Someone saw us when we were invisible. Someone said we mattered when we thought we were garbage. Who found you? A boy asked. Jordan reached for Isabel's hand. She did. This little girl who was just as lost as me. We found each other in the dark, and we've been finding our way back to the light ever since. Together. Always together. Later, after everyone left after Isabel fell asleep, Jordan and Eleanor sat in the quiet. Do you ever think about Michael? Jordan asked. Every day, but it hurts less now, like the wound is scarring instead of bleeding. Does that feel like betrayal? Used to. Now it feels like survival, like he'd want me to keep living even though he can't. Jordan nodded. Ethan too. He'd want me to keep going, to help other kids, to laugh again, to... His voice caught. To forgive myself. Have you forgiven yourself? Not yet, maybe never completely, but I'm working on it. Eleanor took his hand. We're all working on it. That's what makes us human. They sat in comfortable silence. 2 people who'd lost everything and built something new from the rubble. Not perfect, not painless, but real. Thank you, Jordan said. For what? For seeing me, for fighting for me, for showing Isabel that people don't always leave. Thank you for showing her it's okay to be broken. That broken doesn't mean worthless. We're a mess, aren't we? Eleanor laughed. The biggest. But we're a mess that works, and that's better than being perfect and empty. In her room, Isabel slept peacefully. Bare tucked under her chin. Dreams finally gentle instead of nightmares. In the morning she'd wake up and Jordan would be there. Eleanor would be there. Her grandfather would call. Laura would visit the foundation. Life would continue its messy, beautiful march forward. And somewhere in Manhattan, another grieving parent would read about Ethan's light, would pick up the phone, would say the words that started everything. I need help. I'm drowning. Can someone see me? And someone would answer. Someone who understood. Someone who'd survived. Someone who knew that being found is the first step back to being human. Because that's what Ethan's light did. It found people. It saw them. It said you matter to people who thought they were garbage. It proved that broken people could save each other. That credentials weren't everything. That sometimes the janitor knows more than the therapist. That love doesn't die when people do. It just changes form. Jordan Blackwell had been invisible for 3 years, had pushed a cart through empty hallways waiting to disappear. Then a little girl stood crying in the dark, and he gave her a teddy bear. And that single act of recognition changed everything. Not because it fixed her, not because it fixed him, but because it proved they weren't alone. That someone was looking, that they mattered enough to be found. And in the end, being found is what saves us. Not credentials or money or status. Just someone looking at us in our darkest moment and saying, I've been looking for you. I see you. You're not garbage. You're not invisible. You matter. 5 words that change everything. 5 words that mean the difference between surviving and drowning. 5 words that Jordan and Isabel gave each other. 5 words that became a foundation. 5 words that proved love is stronger than loss. I've been looking for you. And once you're found, once you're seen, once you know you matter, survival becomes possible. Not easy, not painless, but possible. And possible is enough. Possible is everything.